body, I bust you down like Itachi, cause you legit me Hachi. Straight kamikaze, I'm talking the bodies as I go straight brawly. Y'all niggas could hardly be me, I'm not part of the sea. I'm part of the sea like Moses. No psychosis, the hope is focused. I put in potent, sustain focus. Ignore all the BS on my timeline, I throw a lifeline for those thinking I ain't about mine. Hit you upside your head with a tie iron. Can't be your time if it's my time. The set to be patient, I'm patiently waiting. It's driving me crazy, cause lately the odds that I'm facing is basic and basically tragically hating. Anticipating my fall, they want it all. They want it all for themselves, so I made the call. No need to stall, I go and get them all off of the shelf. I take affirmative action, I'm blasting and laughing of how you reacting to my satisfaction of cashing injections and Benjis and Wilsons. The life that you always imagined. From the goal, yeah. If you ever see him go, it's Holocaust, the Holy Ghost. Overcome or overflow, yeah. Either way it's overdose. Watch you walk or comatose, penetrating to your soul, yeah. Tit for tat and toe for toe, pound for pound and blow for blow. You would never see me fold, claiming that what you don't know, that is how you get exposed. Left it there with bullet holes. Leave it alone, promises all day.
What it do, what it do, what it do. It's your boy El Divino Vega. You already know what it is. Chop Shop. This is actually going to be a quick segment, or somewhat quick. I'm going to try and keep it short, sweet, and simple. It is Halloween. Happy Halloween to those who celebrate it. To those who don't, good for you. But I figured I want to get this discussion out of the way already. Something that I kind of just been pondering upon, I guess, since it reached my radar. The title obviously is called "Is It Just Me or Is It Getting Crazier Out There?" Tongue in cheek, obviously. You know, I guess it's obviously it's funny how within the, I guess, most recent years, I don't know, the past decade or so, it just seems like every time around this time of season, not Halloween, I'm not referring to, although that's another discussion for another day, I guess, or I don't know, who knows, maybe today. Like I said, sometimes we venture off into different things, different discussions, but it just seems like for sure, like politics be driving people crazy. And it's almost like, and it's not just politics, but it just seems like politics nowadays seems to be the biggest, like, I don't know, I guess trigger or what's the word I'm looking for? The most exploitative way of messing with people's heads, I should say that. And it just seems like people are just so easily I don't know, rattled and or shaken and taken and manipulated and into thinking certain ways, that even when it comes to the things that you should be able to separate from politics, it just seems one way or another. And no, and it's not like, I'll put it like this: it's not. I don't blame people per se. It's not like it's really their fault. Most people are just victims to the way media and anybody who feels that they're obligated by their loyalty to party, that also for whatever reason find a way to spin narratives that just drive people to go in a certain direction with a certain thing. So again, it's no fault of people their own. It's funny to just see how quickly people are taken away by whatever narrative hits them first, whether it's through legacy media, whether it's through social media, whatever like reaches the zeitgeist of things, like, you know, so forth and so forth. And like obviously if you hopped on my live, or I don't know, actually it wasn't my live, but I was on another person's live. So obviously the title, right? The whole Joker movie, like I personally felt like the narrative that was put at you was the narrative most people just came to. And it just seems like people are just so easily, I don't know, like for a better term, I guess, not manipulated, but more like, there was another word I'm looking for, but like programmed or man, there's like another word I'm looking for. It's not coming to my mind right now. But anyways, either way, like I said, manipulated and programmed to think a certain way the moment whatever they're seeing or hearing reaches them. Like, like whatever they see on TV, the way it's like, um set from color, like, and there's a science behind this I've heard before, where like, there's a reason why certain colors are what's popping up at you. That's the way marketing is what it is. The way they'll market something towards you, the way they'll promote something is like colors, sounds, whatever airwaves. Man, I was hoping like a lot of this would trigger that word I'm looking for. Um, like mind wipe, not mind wipe, mind controlled almost, I guess is another word. But either way, forces people to think a certain way, and it's like it's surreal, I guess, to just see it happen in like real time. Like I said, a certain narrative is pushed, and immediately that just happens to be the what goes forward. Anyways, obviously, I'm not here to discuss the Joker movie. I can also have discussions about that and how that was just awkwardly. I don't know. I felt like ill received, but because of just the initial narrative and expectations people had, and I think that's so that's one way that happens. But that being said, that's not what I'm here to discuss. I'm here to discuss because not too long ago, maybe a couple days ago, um, a certain comedian was under attack due to some joke that went out there. And I say attack, maybe I say that lightly. It's not like I know for a fact the man's life was not in danger or anything of that nature, and I'm sure he didn't feel threatened or unsafe like most weird people these days who, I don't know, tend to feel certain types of way because of words. But I think that's what I'm here to discuss. I guess more than anything, if you guys hear anything in the background, it's because it's Halloween, and I think my wife is handing out candies at this moment, which I will be joining her shortly after this. But anyways, so um, yeah, I guess I'm here to just discuss. I guess I don't know. It's just weird to me how I guess people just like will look at a clip and that's what they go with, and like they don't even think to themselves to like, hey, there's got to be more to this. Let me look deeper. I think that's something like a lot of people lack these days. It's just they see the title of something. They see again. They'll see like a 10-second clip, and that's what they run with. Um, and then apart from that, then there's this, like I said, this weird like sensitivity, I guess, revolving anything these days, like whether you're talking politics, whether you're talking sports, movies, entertainment, and obviously more recently jokes, what I'm saying, comedy bits and things of that nature, where uh everything's just oversensitized. People are just oversensitive about certain things, and like that's another thing that I feel is like the hell's going on, whatever. But anyways, again, I just feel like even if that is where you fall, right? Like if you're sensitive about something, right? Because it's look, at the end of the day, it's still within your right to be sensitive about certain things, right? If it's like something that's near and dear to you, whatever. But if that is the case, my whole point is always look deeper. Always look deeper. What is going on out there? Okay, sorry. I'm like wondering if that's my dog or not. Anyways, um, so whole point is for me, I just feel like, if you are gonna feel a certain type of way about something, or if you initially feel some type of way about something, do yourself the favor and look deeper into whatever it is that's being presented to you, especially when it's like a 10-second clip of something, or just a title of an article or something, or something that of that nature. Like always just gather more facts around the situation. You know what I'm saying, to get yourself more informed about what was said, how was it said, and things of that nature, right? But with that being said, let's dive into it, right? Like let's get into it exactly was actually, I guess, discussed, right, or what happened, right? So there was this obviously this comedian. His name is Tony Hincliffe, right? And he had this joke about obviously, you know, he had many jokes. Actually, let's just say that. I don't want to again. This if I, it's how you say things that kind of present something, right? So it's like to say he had a joke. It's like, well, he had many jokes, right? But obviously there was that one that clearly made the rounds, right? Like that made made the rounds on social media, whatever, and even the media itself. Which again, how you think about things and how you perceive things, I think matters too. Because for me personally, I I look at it. I look at anything that's presented to me, and again, for me, I don't just buy into whatever's given to me, and that's like from any kind of media source, whatever it may be, social media, whatever. Like I don't just follow the wave of something. I'm like, all right, hold on, like let me. I like to get my own opinion on things, right? Like, whatever it may be. So when this came across my radar again, somebody sent it to me, and I'm like, interesting. I actually know the comedian. I watch his stuff. I think he's a really funny guy, and uh, and not even just a funny guy, but even just a good guy in general. If you actually know the dude, if you follow what he does with his own show, uh, you know where his heart lies truly, and you know um, where he is at really when it comes to how he feels or deals with people, whatever. So that in the end of the day, you know the jokes are just jokes, but also you know the jokes. You if you know the joke, you what he's speaking on, you it even helps even more, like like if you already know where he's at, like, right. So what I will say is he's a very informed comedian, meaning he keeps himself informed on things that are happening politically, culturally, socially, and things of that nature, right? So it's not like uh the jokes he's making are just in poor taste, or just to say it because I think it'll be funny. No, his jokes usually revolve around either a social truth, a cultural truth, a political truth. Um, that's his form like not even just style. Like that's just how well of a comedian he is. A great comedian knows what's happening around. He's well aware of things, and that are happening, whether again culturally, socially, politically, so forth and so forth. Right. So a good comedian is aware of these things, and his jokes will be um, referendums or revolve around these things, right? So that's that. Um, so I feel to do it its due service, I'm gonna try and just actually like go through the actual now whole bit that he did, because I feel like that's the best way to get clarity on what was really said and how it was said, right? So that way it's like, all right, again, not a 10-second clip. I'm not judging this on a 10-second clip. It's like, nah, I've watched the whole thing and this is what it is, right? So I pulled it up. I'm gonna see if I can share it. Again, obviously to not get copyright strikes. I'm gonna probably intervene here and there just to keep it again from being like, oh, I'm just playing the whole thing and get copyright stricken. But I'm gonna play it nonetheless. Let's run through it, and that's that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then after that, we'll break it down and discuss whatever you said, and even how I just feel the narratives that were out there surrounding it were just off, and how people's perspective of it was off as well. Although, um, we'll get into that after it's said and done. So I'm gonna go ahead and try and share this screen right quick. And again, we're gonna watch this together. So because I feel like that's the only way to get true clarity on um what really was said or what really happened. So let's see if I can go ahead and share my YouTube. Bam, bam. Yep, audio cool. Share. Bam. Okay, let's do this.
Wow, isn't this special? 17 years ago, I was sleeping in my car behind the Comedy Store in LA. and I'm proud to say this is my 4th time performing at Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the damn world. The American dream alive and well right here. This is very different than where I'm used to performing, though. I'm used to nighttime with people drinking, not so many babies in the crowd, and people that are obviously only here for Lee Greenwood tonight. Normally, I don't make my political beliefs a known thing. It's divisive for a comedian to do that, but just know I sleep well at night knowing who I'm voting for. Yeah. Yeah. When I lay down and my head hits my pillow.
All right.
It is.
All right. So just again, did I get copyright stricken? For those who obviously, I don't know if you guys are aware about the My Pillow situation. I want to say the dude initially back in the day endorsed Trump, I think, in his first campaign when he ran in 2016 and that time period. But I want to say, if I'm correct, there was also like some sort of like legal allegations or something around him that followed his success, and I think in his support for Trump or something like that. So already tongue in cheek, already happening. You know, referring to, again, he's in a Republican crowd, he's at a Trump rally. If his concern is to censor himself and watch what he's talking about and filter it through the fear of who I'm in front of and what have you, this is not the joke to really tell, because again, it's like, well, do you really want to rehash the My Pillow guys history, whatever? But in the end of the day, again, boldly chooses to go forward with it. Again, it's showing that, as intellectually he's informed on the whole situation, but he's tongue in cheek with it. You know what I'm saying? Talking about how, in the end of the day, the My Pillow was still a great pillow, regardless of, I guess, what followed. And again, this is from correct. If I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say there was like this whole case allegation around the guy and his business. But either way, still bold, risky, and again, risky to say in a Republican rally, right, and a Trump rally for that matter. Or so, because again, it's like, hey, you don't want to try and throw shade, but the reason I'm pointing this out is because it's like, just so you already understand, like, for this guy, there is nobody's safe. Like, like there's no topic he's not willing to touch and play with, because that's what comedians do. They play with these things, they in a way to, again, just find the humor in things and bring levity to things and bring awareness to things. Like, this is what comedians do. All right, so all right, let's keep on.
This is a fantastic pillow, by the way. I was staying at the Four Seasons up by Central Park one night, and I laid my head down, and it felt so good, and I thought to myself, what an amazing pillow. I have a little bit of money now. I could buy a good pillow. And I took the pillowcase off, and there it was. My pillow, my pillow, my pillow. And damn it, I bought 4 of them. And if you use the promo code KillTony, you can also buy 4 My Pillows. They're serious.
All right, again, it's tongue in cheek, saying, like, so if anybody who's, again, that right there is just for those who follow his show or anybody who follows podcasts. This is what they do, or even any YouTube channel that has some sort of sponsorship. There's usually some sort of deal for those that subscribe or buy something with a certain code that is usually surrounding the person, whatever channel it's on. So obviously his is Kill Tony, his channel or his show and channel is called Kill Tony. So with the code Kill Tony, whatever, again, a joke, you can buy it with that. That's a joke for those who know how sponsored podcasts are and channels, YouTube channels in general, or whatever, anything you watch that has some sort of sponsorship, and they're trying to, they're paid to promote whatever. That's what that is. So that's the joke there, obviously. And anybody who actually does watched Kill Tony or his thing knows that he definitely does not have a My Pillow code for you to buy My Pillows with. So again, also the joke there. Anyways, let's keep it going.
Stuff happening, people. I live in the great state of Texas now. 18 years in Ohio, 20 years in California, and I got to see California turn to absolute horrendous thing. And traveling the world, I got to see San Francisco turn into one of the most demented cities, one of the greatest downfalls I've ever seen. And that is where the other candidate worked for 2 decades. And it's absolutely wild to see. And in Texas, stuff is really crazy. We're right there by a wide open border. Where are my proud Latinos at tonight? You guys see what I mean? It's wide open. There's so many of them. It's absolutely incredible.
All right. So again, the obvious tongue-in-cheek. It's I mean, so again, if you check, so here's the funny part. Narratives that I saw. Just the clip shown of him with the whole Puerto Rico thing, whatever, or Latinos and babies, whatever you want to, just little short clips. And then this narrative of, because it's told at a Trump rally and there's people laughing, it must be a crowd of a bunch of white racist bigots, right? But clearly, if you watch the whole thing, the room is filled with more than just white racists. It's not filled with racists, but as we should say, or at least we could only hope, right? Or assume. I don't want to say like imply anything here, but the whole point is there's clearly other people there. So far, he's pointed out Latinos, whatever, and even as the comedian doing his job to point out, like, all right, are you here? Cool. All right, I'm about to start joking around with this again because he's a comedian. This is what he's here to do. He's there to perform. He's not there speaking. He's not a political figure. He's there to perform, and that's exactly what he's doing. And he's already kind of like trying to get a feel for the crowd, which again, tough to do because I would even say like this is not the natural atmosphere a comedian would even perform at, to be honest. But nonetheless, it's who they brought on, so it is what it is. Let's keep it going though. Let's see what he's got going.
Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this.
I think I've seen him tell this joke. Low-key. This is the first time I've heard this one.
These Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do.
And this is the one that made the rounds.
Pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country.
So again, just being tongue-in-cheek, it's just he's being funny. Again, awareness of the political conversation pieces being had right now, obviously regarding immigration and things of that nature, and making a joke out of it. Even to the point where he, again, it's changing his voice to mimic some sort of like Southern white guy. You know what I'm saying? Like clearly that's not his voice, but he does it to mimic that because that's the average idea of some sort of like super, Southern white, maybe racist guy, you know what I'm saying, who doesn't want, migrants or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, playing with the whole concept, you know what I'm saying, of just awareness of the situation, right? So let's just keep it going.
Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor. Free speech is under attack, people. I host a show, and each week I get updates what words we're allowed to use and not use anymore. It's happening right now the past few years. It's a real thing.
I will say, like, even that statement in itself, I feel is probably it's probably what it's the major thing that has to be said here, because for those who know, and again, comedians have been censored and tried to being canceled. Some people succeeded in canceling certain comedians. Luckily, some are just too big to cancel. But this is a real thing, you know what I'm saying? Because of, like, again, this over. And I'll be honest, sometimes I don't even think it's like an oversensitive type of. I mean, that is a thing. I also feel sometimes it's just it's a strategic maneuver to try and change the landscape of how free speech works. But anyways, let's just it's almost like holding free speech ransom according to certain uh you know uh how it's received by certain people, and like these wild claims about how words somehow brought them down, whatever. But all that to say that in this it shouldn't be a thing in this, I guess, sphere of things. And that's why I would also say I'm careful. I would ask people to be careful if even if you are if you feel like free speech is a thing you cherish, then be careful about how quick you are to demonize uh someone's words, because that's definitely what happened here. Even with people that I personally know are somewhat free speech advocates, I would say, and believe in that, but somehow this is where the line was drawn, which was kind of crazy to see. It's a very double standard. Oh, Edwin, I'm gonna get there. I'm definitely gonna get there. That was gonna be like my final point, but this is what the boy Edwin said. For sure, we'll get there though. That's the obvious. That's the obvious, and I there's a point that I'm gonna follow up with that to put that through right quick.
And used to be able to tell people to Google stuff. My mom's a boomer in the state of Ohio, and there's no convincing her of anything. She's eating the cats. She's eating the dogs. They're eating the pets up there. It is
again
absolutely
awareness.
Wild times. It really, really is. And there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
And that's obviously the one that made the biggest rounds.
Right. Okay. We're getting there. Again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody.
Again, self-awareness. He's well aware that, man, this isn't usually where I perform. No comedian really probably performs, especially comedians like himself that are very uncensored with their jokes. They're not trying to walk on eggshells. They're very much like, they are definitely taking the liberty to exercise their free speech in their art form, right? So what I will say is again, awareness on that specific joke. It's I had no idea that it's actually been performed before, so this came across my radar. But even before knowing that, again, because it's, I would say this. Well, let's finish the thing. I don't want to get caught up here. Let's just finish the video. I'll circle back to that joke particularly because that's the one that definitely made the most rounds and made the most headlines for sure. So let's just finish it off. But that was so just in case nobody knows for some reason, that's the main joke that made the rounds, and people were trying to, I guess, come at this guy for it. But we'll discuss that joke, and I'll explain why it actually was important to tell that joke. But we'll keep it going.
This isn't exactly a perfect comedy setup. There's some people here. All right. Very good. I like it. I have other policies that I think it should be implemented as well. Like me personally, I think football should be all year round. Yeah. So many great athletes. I don't know about you guys, but I think that Travis Kelce might be the next O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
Feels good in here. The other side's got a lot of crazy endorsements. Swift, Eminem, Leo DiCaprio, Beyonce. Every day the Democratic Party looks more and more like a P. Diddy party. Oh, okay.
Awareness again.
Okay, that's what you guys want. All right. Heck yeah. It's a cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that? A lampshade? Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm just kidding. That's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun. We carved watermelons together. It was awesome. You guys are, this is a groany little morning crowd, huh?
You know, that probably doesn't need any explanation, but the obvious is, you know, again, no, like, there's no filter for this guy. He's uncensored. This is what he does. But if you know who he is, you know none of this is a referendum on his character. But you had like, and that's what I mean. Like, the biggest shame is that there's people already trying to demonize him without even knowing how much he actually does for up and coming comedians from all different, like, you know, backgrounds, identities, and things of that nature. But all that to say that's why, for, you know, if you know the guy, you know that none of these jokes are necessary. They're not coming from a bad place, is the whole point. And what I would also advise is that if you don't know somebody, don't just assume something about them. Take the time to actually get to know who they are before you actually assume something about them, just because of something you disagree with, or just maybe just aren't on the same page with what they say. So that, I'll say that. And again, all to keep in mind, he's still just a performer. This is him performing his thing. So let's keep moving forward.
It's tough to follow this audition for the next Commissioner Gordon's over here. It is, though. It's crazy times we're living in. I mean, all these pointless wars. It is unbelievable what's happening right now. It is incredible. Ukraine versus Russia, Israel. It's like bad soccer games. Who even cares? What are we doing? Why is our money involved in these wars?
I mean, again, it's like, if you're into soccer, hey, kudos to you. But I think for the, you know, a good portion of us, some of us, or actually, I think even if you do like soccer, you know that there's just certain games that you're just uninterested in, and that's actually the truth for even like some baseball games. There's like, you know, you're like, maybe even some football. Recently, that's actually kind of gotten better. I feel like a lot of teams now are playing, you know, and then so it's like, it's hard to say that about football now, but, you know, there was a time where like certain sports, there was just teams you were like, there's an uninterest, you know, but there's obviously that in soccer. And so using that whole, you know, wars thing going on with this it's kind of funny and kind of true, you know. I think we all kind of feel that way, like, oh my gosh, can this all end already, you know? But let's keep moving forward.
When it comes to Israel and Palestine, we're all thinking the same thing. Settle your stuff already. Best out of 3.
He probably meant to say settle your shit.
Rock, paper, scissors. You know the Palestinians are going to throw rock every time. But you also know the Jews have a hard time throwing that paper. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Oh, shit.
Yep, we're cooking.
Yep. He's cooking. All right. Again, nobody's safe. Nobody's safe. Everybody can get it. You know what I'm saying? It's same rule applies for all. Nobody's safe. That's in comedy. That's definitely a big thing. You know, and the closest thing to it is probably like rap. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's safe in rap. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can get it. It's again part of the art form. And if you're really about it, you get it. You know what I'm saying? And your feelings shouldn't be getting hurt. You know that this is how these things work.
Hillary Clinton said that this is a Nazi rally here today.
Latinos, Nazis. That's crazy.
Can you believe
that? Is crazy.
That? For the most anti-war president of my entire lifetime, and she calls him Hitler. Let me remind you, Hillary, it was your husband who shot innocent people, or as he called them, interns. Yeah, Hillary, I bet you did not see that one coming. By the way, if I commit suicide in 3 weeks, I didn't.
I mean, you know, what else can be said? You know, what else can be said? We all know what Bill did. And hey, like, I don't hate the player, you just gotta hate the game, I guess. You know what I mean? And again, this is what comedy's about. You take certain things, and it's the skill of weaving it in, and you know, how do you say? There was a word was just in my mind and somehow escaped me, but whole point is like being clever. There you go, being clever and witty with how you're gonna touch on these things, topics that are obviously relevant to even where he's at, right? So that's what's important, right? That's just, the main thing is that you're at a political thing, so you know the jokes have to still be cleverly put it for that specific event, right? You know, because I know the guy, like, this isn't everything he jokes about, but obviously that's where he got invited, so that's where his jokes are going to be swimming around, I guess you could say.
I mean, it's just obvious to me who the right candidate is. There's a guy out here dodging bullets. It is unbelievable, right? He took it right in the ear. Unbelievable. I thought about this. I don't know if you have. Coolest place to get shot. Like, if you're gonna get shot anywhere on your body, that's where you want it. Right there. Technically, he got shot in the head, depending on if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Right? If you're a Democrat, his ear was grazed. If you're a Republican, he's survived the headshot. It is. It's the best place to get shot. It's the only part of the human body will drive a piercing through like a little girl's ear for no reason. Right?
I will say, like, I never really thought about it, but like thinking about it now and the point he's made, like, yeah, I guess if there is any place you do want to get shot, it is the ear. You know, it's the less damage done, you know, whether it's like getting shot on the leg or maybe the arm or the body, you know, obviously not the face or anything that's going to actually damage you or put you through some sort of severe life and death situation, you know what I'm saying? Or extreme recovery. So, I mean, I gotta say, yeah, like, I'd rather lose some cartilage in the ear or something or whatever's there, little skin, and then, you know, even if like contrary to a finger, like getting shot in the finger or something, you know, like, yeah, I gotta say, I never thought about it, but talk about luck.
There's just it heals fast. Nobody cares.
Right.
It's the best place to get shot. He went down, saw blood on his hands. I'd imagine he thought right then, I think I just won this shit.
Probably.
Stands up and says the most American words I've ever heard in my life. No. Before that, there was one more. Let me get my shoes.
I knew he was going to go there. I already knew. Oh, yeah.
Fearless. Perhaps still with an active shooter. He's talking like a guy that just had the best one-night stand of his life. Right? Like, where's my shoes at? I got to get the hell out of here.
I got to say, when I first watched the video, that was exactly what I thought to myself when I heard him say that. I'm like, what? He's concerned about his shoes? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell? Like, you know, but then a part of me was like, I related to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I forgot who I was talking to this with Bob, but I'm like, there's certain like positions you don't want to be put in because you're like, like, I don't want to just run without my shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, especially like if you're like, you know, you got to think about like, you know, germs and bacteria, or like just being dirty, like, you know, like, damn, I have to walk with my shoes, like without my shoes, like, you know what I'm saying? Like so I kind of relate, you know what I'm saying? I kind of relate. a part of me was like, you know what? I probably would have said the same thing. Like, nah, let me get my shoes, guys. I ain't about to try and get out of here. You know, I gotta walk through this fucking grass. You know what I'm saying? There's probably mud out there. I'm cool. I don't need any of that on my socks. You know, so let me put on my shoes right quick before we dip out. Who cares if there's an active shooter? Oh yeah.
Let me get my shoes. And then the fight.
That's like that situation of like, you know, if there's a fire in the house, like, do you really just get out? Like, I honestly, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably get dressed. I try and do my best to get dressed before I like flee the scene. And even like low key, I'd probably even try and see like what could I grab as I leave my house that's burning down. Low key.
Fight. What he did was so cool that Biden got COVID. Oh yeah. Go back. Look at the timeline of everything again. 3 days after that. That means that Biden, he didn't get that from hanging out with sick people. He was in a sterile room in the White House watching blood running down Trump's face as he pumps his fist. Biden's like, oh, fuck. Oh, God, no. It's true. Trump survived an assassination attempt and Biden got COVID. We vote next week. God voted 3 months ago.
That's one way to put it, I guess. Oh yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
Another great Austin, Texas resident, Elon Musk, will be speaking here later today. Unbelievable. Genius. You guys saw him shoot that rocket into outer space, the largest aircraft ever, fires it off into space, and then parallel parks it back to planet Earth.
You know, I'll be honest, like I only saw like snippets of that video of like that clip. I still gotta really see like, I mean, obviously it didn't parallel parking, but that's one way to put it for sure. For sure.
Meanwhile, Kamala supporters can't parallel park their Toyota Priuses properly. Sorry, I listen to Elon Musk. I follow his lead. The world's smartest, richest man has my attention. Except for when it comes to stock trading, then I listen to Nancy Pelosi. But censorship is among...
Obviously, if you don't know anything about the Nancy Pelosi stock story, go look into that. You know, inside trading and all that was going on with her and her husband. So definitely something to look into.
Us people, it's a very, very, very big deal, and I'm just here to say that you guys are for the right candidate. Tell your friends. Let's close it out, and let's make speech free again. Make America healthy again. Let's beat the team from California. The team from New York should beat the team from California, not only in this election, but in the World Series of Baseball, America's sport. I love you, New York. God bless New York. God bless America. Let's make it great again.
All right. That's that. That is that. Let's remove that. Actually, boom. So I'll point out definitely what he ended with is I feel the most important thing to take from this, and that's free speech, right? There's a reason why he mentions it twice, you know, somewhere in the center and then at the very end. And I think it's because a part of him knew, like, there's obviously he had to have known, like, the other side was going to be ready to make a story out of this. He knew. I don't know if he knew which joke it was going to be exactly. You know, he probably thought it was going to be all of them, or at least the ones that for sure were directed towards them, or maybe ones that he knows identity politics they're gonna try and play on that, the emotions of identity politics, that and because they're definitely not gonna point out the fact that he made fun of his own party in a sense, or you know, people of that stereotype, I guess you could say. So I feel like that's like the main takeaway is the freedom of speech, right? Like, you know, are we really gonna make a big deal about, like, you know, what comedians or what anybody really says, right? Like we really, you know, but especially from a comedian standpoint, like you know what I'm saying, like are we really like gonna, you know, be so sensitive that we can't take a joke? And I think like what my big take problem, I guess, with what I saw when it came surrounding that is just I felt like, man, like just the amount of hypocrisy sometimes because you know I saw some people that were talking shit about it that I know for a fact, like you do this, you yourself joke about people, these are type of people. We do this all the time, you know what I mean. And when when it's not at the expense of, I guess, yourself or your own people, like whatever you identify as, then it becomes a problem. That's a double standard. And personally, it's not that I feel like we should all just then walk on eggshells. Look, no, the whole point is like stop worrying about walking on eggshells. Let's all like grow some thick skin. Let's all have a good sense of humor. And then even if we're confused about something or we feel like something is wrong, like we didn't like something, dig deeper. You know what I'm saying? Just dig deeper. Because here's the crazy part. Now going back to the joke, right? So that joke about the whole, you know, island of garbage, uh, you know, and then I think it's called Puerto Rico. A couple things to mention there. One is it's crazy. What's crazy? It's not crazy that they spun something out of this. That was obviously going to happen. And here's the fact: I feel like even most people that made a big deal about it, they were already anything that was going to be Trump related. They were already going to be against. If this would have been, as you know, Edwin pointed out earlier, which was, you know, they're making an issue because he is on Donald Trump's platform. That's the 100% the truth. If the joke was told somewhere else, which here's the crazy part for those who didn't know, that joke apparently was told somewhere else. And guess where it was? Orlando, in which the comedy club he was at was filled with a bunch of Puerto Ricans and a bunch of Latinos. And he told that joke there, and the room laughed, right? Now, here's the funny part. Here's the kicker is that whether they laughed because they just thought it was just a tongue-in-cheeky, like just a bit of like, let me just be a little grotesque, you know, whatever, and just trash, you know, like kind of like roast somebody. Or maybe, hopefully, you would hope they were just actually well informed, right, on what the joke was really referring to. So, again, going back to the joke, for anybody who thought like this was a jab at Puerto Ricans, you fell for the bait. You fell for it. You fell for the narrative. That's not what this was. If he would have said something like in the context of, and again, this is where like knowing the English language, I guess, apparently matters, right? Like how things are worded to understand how it's being told, right? So if he would have said something like blah 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 Puerto Ricans, then he's obviously talking about a people. And then I can understand why there's like a cult, like, oh, you're coming at my culture, blah, blah, blah. You know, men, maybe I can see why there's a bit of like booty hurt, feelings hurt type thing. Where I would say if you need to, I should probably have addressed this earlier. I kind of forgot that this was going to be my own little bit, but I got some leftover Trump towels that he threw at us for those who need it because I don't have tissue. You see what I did there? Tongue in cheek. All right. Anyway, hope what it is, you know, Puerto Ricans, that's a people. Puerto Rico, that's a place, right? So that's that. You got to English language, know the difference. But even apart from that, inform yourself on what he was actually referring to. So for those who don't know, apparently there are people who just don't know, and I know that's just because of actual conversations I've had with actual people, and that's that. For a couple years now, there has been a trash or garbage landfill situation where a lot of the landfills in Puerto Rico are filled beyond capacity. That within recent headlines, within the last 4 months, over 47,000 pounds of garbage was cleaned up out of Puerto Rico's surrounding ocean, right? And that because of these over capacity landfills. Sorry, my neck. Because of these overcapacity landfills, there's also been air pollution and water pollution for the citizens of Puerto Rico, which is why I said earlier this joke was really important. Here's a fact: regardless of how it was received, whether it got bad publicity, which was probably the majority of it, it was still good publicity because what it did do is it caused this. It caused conversations to be had about what he was actually talking about, not Puerto Rican people, but about an issue that's actually um, um, that's been a hindrance for the Puerto Rican people in the island. So it's funny. It was really funny for me to see this uproar between Puerto Ricans that are not in the island, that are think they're like just like this self-righteous, like overzealous pride that rose, not even understanding that what he's really addressing in a way through a matter of joke is why is it that within maybe Puerto Rico's own government, because it's mostly the municipalities that own these landfills, and even the United States itself, who if you are if Puerto Rico's your territory, you should also be concerned with this situation that's happening over there and addressing the situation. So what better platform to bring this to light than a political platform in which, if you are for the people, right? If he believes that the candidate he's supporting or voting for is for the people and for what's good, then what better place to voice this situation than there and bring light to the situation? Because apparently a lot of people didn't even know that that was a thing, which it really is. And if I figured, let me even share this with you guys, so in case you guys thought it wasn't. Boom, here we go. So for those who don't know, there's this link you can click on, Puerto Rico landfill problems, all you need to know. But I don't want to go too deep into it. Luckily, there's those, Google has these arrow asterisks, whatever you want to call them, that kind of give you a situation. All right. So this is a thing, whatever. In 2016, the Environmental Protection Agency vowed to work to address Puerto Rico's landfill problems. At the time, they noted the territory had 29 operating landfills, many beyond capacity. As I stated just a couple seconds ago or minutes ago, that these landfills are beyond capacity, which have caused this problem of pollution within the air and the water. Anyways, then who owns landfills in Puerto Rico? Just because I was like, all right, who's in charge of these? Who's at fault? So municipalities own the majority of landfills, and for the most part, they are allowed to operate as they please. Okay, according to Carlos Contreras, CEO and president of Consolidated Waste Services, which manages 5 landfills serving 19 jurisdictions. Some of the landfills he manages are lined, but not all. Okay, so clearly, what this is, again, if the joke is bringing light to another situation, now we can discuss. All right, well, who's at fault? Who's responsible for this? Like, or who needs to start attending these things? So I figured, okay, this is good to know here. Again, just a quick look at this. I'm not trying to go deep into it. I'm just trying to shed light on something that I feel people, for whatever reason, just we're quick to judge the joke, which is just stupid to even do, but without even really being informed on what it was about, right? But let's go ahead and keep it going. Something else I pulled up. What is the garbage problem in Puerto Rico? So Puerto Rico residents on average dispose of 5.56 pounds of solid waste per person each day, compared with the national average of 4.91 pounds per person a day in the U.S. Recycling rates on the island are low, with approximately less than 10% of solid waste diverted. So again, pointing out why these issues are also occurring, like just side notes to know. So that in itself is part of the issue. Okay. What else did I look that I thought was good? Okay. What are the top environmental issues in Puerto Rico? Because Puerto Rico is part of the United States, local industry is subject to the same federal environmental regulations and restrictions as the United States. Puerto Rico's greatest environmental threats concern its vanishing natural habitat and the resulting impact on soil, erosion, and wildlife. Okay, so just to get an idea of like, all right, what's happening there environmentally. And I think, oh no, here we go. What is the major problem? No. Okay, and actually, this is just again. Then I thought to myself, the fact that we would cry about some joke when again there's actual issues happening, and where's the cry out for this? So then this is another thing that I just thought was like, okay, this is interesting to know. What is the major problem in Puerto Rico? 1.4 million people in Puerto Rico are reported as living below the federal poverty line. Almost 13% of Puerto Ricans report that they do not have medical insurance, and almost 1 in 5 reports foregoing medical treatment because of cost. Okay, so you want to cry about something, there's a real issue to cry about. Something that really could use the attention of either government or just people with a good heart that are trying to, all right, how can we fix the situation? You know, how can we turn this around? Okay, and then I thought this was interesting to note. If Puerto Rico became a state, I'm going to assume this is what the question was kind of implying. Would Puerto Rico be the poorest state? I'm actually going to click this one too because I am kind of curious what it says. But about 43% of Puerto Rico residents live in poverty, which is the highest poverty rate of any U.S. state. So if Puerto Rico were to become a state, we're already the poorest state. Mississippi is next highest at 19.7%. Puerto Rico's 8.2% unemployment rate in 2019 is almost 3 times the national level. This was back in 2019. Most statistics surrounding these type of analytics from other things I've show that it actually has gotten worse or have risen. So we might not even be looking at how bad it really is at the moment. Who knows? Okay, so here we go. Other things to look at. Look at that. But again, I'm not trying to go too deep. These were just things that I was just curious about. Okay, so yeah, and I looked. Okay, does it have a water crisis? But that's good. It was interesting. There's apparently droughts and natural hazards that have been happening due to, I guess, the climate change and things like that. Where did it go? I want to see this. What is the answer here? So, how did Puerto Rico become so poor? And again, it's not wrong to ask these questions if they happen to be based on facts or something true. So, academically, most of Puerto Rico's economic woes stem from federal regulations that expired, have been repealed, or no longer apply to Puerto Rico. Its inability to become self-sufficient and self-sustainable throughout history. Its public policy, which tends to change whenever a political party gains power, as well as, okay, so there's more to it apparently, which that I've heard regarding their like trade and things of that nature, right? So again, I was like, because I kind of knew there was something about this to be said, again, where the mindset is like there's real problems to be crying about, or to as a Puerto Rican is what I'm saying. Because honestly, I don't expect nobody who's not Puerto Rican to care, but if you have a heart, I guess you should care. And if you have some sort of, I guess you could say, I don't know, pride and national identity as an American, and America, if there's a problem where America's as a government is not tending to its territories, that's something to be said. But either way, I did Google this because I was like, I know this was a thing. What is the trade policy in Puerto Rico? But interestingly, the AI gave me some interesting answers, I will say. So Puerto Rico's trade policy essentially operates as part of the U.S. trade system, meaning there are no tariffs or barriers to trade between Puerto Rico and the U.S. mainland. Now, this could be an issue here, and we'll get to that specifically. But there's much to be discussed there, I guess. But with the United States being its primary trading partner, allowing for free movement of goods and services between the two territories. This is due to Puerto Rico's status as a U.S. territory and its inclusion in the U.S. customs system. So, as good as this may sound, this really comes down to who's giving more and who's taking more. Taking more, and that would be, I guess, interesting for another day. But then key points about Puerto Rico's trade policy: no tariffs with the U.S. There are no tariffs or customs duties applied to goods traded between Puerto Rico and the U.S. mainland. U.S. customs system. Puerto Rico operates within the U.S. customs system, meaning goods entering Puerto Rico from other countries are subject to the same customs regulations as goods entering the U.S. mainland. Main trading partner: the United States is by far the largest trading partner for Puerto Rico, with most exports and imports originating from the mainland. some international trade. Some. So while the majority of trade is with the U.S., Puerto Rico also engages in trade with other countries, including Singapore, Japan, Ireland, and Brazil. Tax incentives. Puerto Rico offers various tax incentives through programs like Act 20 and Act 22 to attract foreign investment and stimulate export-oriented industries. Okay. Anyways, I went down this rabbit hole all because, in the end of the day, I feel the problem here that we're facing is. Oh, I wasn't even sharing none of this. Great. I thought I was. Here we go. Now I am. So, well, you heard me say it all. I'm not gonna about to show you guys, but this was this was the link I talked about earlier. Puerto Rico's landfill problems. All you need to know. So if you want to learn more about it, you can click there. But these are a few things that I answered earlier. If you heard me recite it, you already know what I'm showing you here. So that was that. All that to say that I went down this rabbit hole because I felt like, all this crying out for, this little joke that somehow is the bigger problem, contrary to like what real problems really are, and the fact that his joke in itself was actually alluding to a real problem that was a problem for the island and for its people, and for my people. Yo, man, my bad, brother. I'm just seeing you sliding through, but I appreciate you sliding through. The homie Manny P, brother, was good, man. I hope all is well. This is one of the artists that I definitely work with, a brother from another mother. Great music. If you guys haven't heard it, go check him out. Manny P's all streaming platforms. He just dropped some singles, and a video. Go check it out. Yo, Manny, I don't know if you know what I'm referring to or what I'm talking about here, but feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section. Anyways, yes, that's kind of like where I'm at with this right now, I guess. I just felt like, all right, let me just discuss this. I'm trying to make it as quick as possible. Apparently, I'm already an hour and 2 minutes in. I just thought it was just funny to see the backlash that this got. And for many reasons, I just thought was like unnecessary. Like it was definitely blown out of proportion. Biggest reason probably because it was at a Trump rally. So anybody who's honest, every social media or every legacy media outlet that's out there leans left. So obviously they're gonna spin their narratives. It's unfortunately common, and I say unfortunately because it really does an injustice to people that just rely on these sources to become their source of information, and then just trust it and go with it. And then even a lot of these social media platforms, especially like Google, even YouTube that I'm on, they unfortunately are major donors to the left, to the Democrat Party. So even the way that they conduct their algorithms and how things work are very much in favor for their party. And the unfortunate part about this is it just makes for it distorts our way of gaining information. And I just feel like obviously when this thing popped up, you're just seeing this little clip making the rounds and then headlines saying this, and then people just buy into it. And it's just crazy to me because it's like, first off, this guy's not racist. Second off, if you actually saw the bit, like I just showed you, it wasn't just a bunch of like white racist people there, and which is crazy to even think that that's what you're going to get in New York. But whatever, people awkwardly just buy narratives. There was clearly Latinos there, and as you can hear, some laugh, some were like, "Oh," you know what I'm saying? And again, right? It's not. I'm sure people didn't even know the guy was going to probably perform or not. You know what I'm saying? And and again, if some are not informed on what he's actually saying, then it's but again, I'm glad he didn't not do it, because a part of me is like, one, we have to be able to stick to our guns on what it is we're doing, what we're saying, like just the art form itself. This is what he does. This is a style of comedy. If you watch his show Kill Tony, you would know, like, even his own crowds then sometimes get cringe, like they get cringy, but because we live in a society and the culture right now that's very sensitive about these things, and somehow we just can't joke about certain things anymore. Whether they're based on like some form of truth or a truth, or even if it's just like an exaggerated truth that makes it funny. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's that you're telling a story that might not necessarily be true, or a story that is true, and that's why it's more, you can see the truth in it, so that's why it's funny, and you see that the person's found a way to humorize his trauma or whatever, and bring levity to the situation. Like, this is what joking is. It's like it's complex and nuanced, but if you allow yourself to just have a sense of humor, it's still fun. It's funny. And so I just think, again, it's like, it's however you thought the joke was being told, whether you knew what he was referring to or not. I feel like, take your foot off the gas for a moment and just like take the time to like consider, would he, again, just using logic, who in their right mind would say something this crazy? But again, the only people who buy into that are people that also buy other narratives, right? So if you have this like weird outlook on thinking, oh, Republicans are just racist and blah blah blah, then you see that this clip is making the rounds, and then you buy into this weirdness, which is just, again, still a weird, even logically, it's just a weird thing to even think about somebody, because when you have, I'm sure you have to know people that are either Latino or Black or Asian or something, and if they're voting in a certain way, like, why would you even think that? How can you even think to yourself like, oh, this party or this, that, and like they're race? Like, that's just crazy to me, right? And again, this is coming from somebody, just to even like clarify, like, my stance is like, I'm very independent when it comes to where I stand on politics. It just happens to be like, yeah, if I'm going to be honest right now, what I'm liking and what I'm hearing and from the information I'm gathering, I'm voting Republican. That's just what it is, But again, that, I think it's stupid when people say, "Oh, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican," like, as if like, something can't go wrong ever with the party you're for. Like, that's just crazy to me. Like, no, I'm going to listen to what both sides have to say. If I like what one candidate is saying here, then that's the way I'm going to vote that coming election cycle. And if I like what I've seen here, what I've already seen here, what I lived through, what I've experienced, it's not even that you have to tell me what's happening. I've already lived it, and that's what made this like election cycle actually easy for me. It's like, we lived in both people's form of politics. One benefited me more than the other, and that's just what made this kind of easy for me personally. Again, it's not, I don't even need to hear the extra rhetoric. It's like, I lived through it. I know what it is. I know what I can expect. And on top of the fact that, yes, I'm now gaining over. What are the plans? All right, cool. So, but again, this is because I allow myself to like independently gather information and choose how I'm going to vote. If I'm gonna be honest, like, if the Democrat Party would have probably let RFK Jr. run as a Democratic candidate, my vote would have probably went that way. Who knows? Because when I was hearing his campaigns, there was a lot of things he was saying that I was liking. Again, I'm very independent in that, like, and I feel like people should be like, that's where you should be. You shouldn't be loyal to a party just because at any moment that party could become something different from what you initially thought it was. I feel like for the most part, that's definitely what's happened in the Democrat Party. It's if it for whatever reason ever was for the people, I don't see that anymore. Because again, going back to what the comedian was kind of making jokes on the freedom of speech, the only side that I've seen like censor speech and trying to regulate how speech should be it's been the Democrat Party, just if we're going to be honest. So I just feel in many ways it's lost its credibility there. And I feel like now when I'm looking at the Republican Party, for all the, I guess, weird narratives around it, I feel like right now you're looking at a party that's in the moment of reformation, that if you're really trying to dictate where the future is going to go, if there's a party that's open to to change or reform, or it's that party, and you can tell that that's what it is, because you're looking at the candidates and political figures that are within that party. When you got the likes of someone like Tulsi Gabbard, who for sure was Democrat, then became independent. RFK Jr., same thing, was Democrat, now independent, but working alongside this coalition. Someone like Elon Musk, whether you believe the narratives or not of him supposedly being, again, which it's crazy because if you know, it's like this guy voted Democrat 2020. So like this concept that he's one or the other, it's like, no, I think Elon Musk is just like me. He's independent. He's an independent thinker, and he's voting and going in the way he feels is, his heart's, has convicted him to go. And I think that's where that's gone. But like I said, you see someone of the likes of him. So I just feel like, again, when I'm looking at one side, I feel like there's reformation happening. There's a possible change happening that can really benefit the people if they, I guess, take hold and grasp of what they really want for the future of their country. But either way, again, honing it back into this comedian. Again, if you know the guy, like, and I would say, like, if you're, for whatever reason, you got booty hurt, over what he said, like, dude, like, look into what he really does. Maybe look. Here's the thing. Maybe you don't like the way he tells jokes. Maybe that's not your style. Maybe that's not palatable for you, and that's fine, right? Because art is subjective, so that's cool. Either way, like, that doesn't mean that there was ill intent behind the things he says or his jokes. That's that. And I would encourage for you to try and demonize his character. Like, look into what this man does. Like, he does a lot of good things. Like, I'm not saying and it's not to say he's a saint. He's I'm sure he's far from it. He's definitely far from it. But that's not the point. The point is his heart isn't in like a bad place of like wanting bad stuff for people or whatever. Like, no, like it's generally, it's like the things he does good things for a lot of people. If you know, like, he helps out a lot of up and coming artists, or not artists, comedians. Low-key kind of puts some artists on the map. If you know his style of his show, I would encourage you to go see it. There's some artists he puts on the map too. Again, it's this idea that he's like, I don't know, has some sort of ill intentions behind his demeanor. I can assure you that's not the case. And again, I would say, like, again, if you still feel like that's not your style, I would even say, like, the logic also of like thinking that a performer is a referendum on politics, like, that's just goofy, right? Because, like, that was the other part that I guess I thought was just goofy about this whole narrative, was that somehow, but again, obviously I expect it from the left. That's what they're gonna do, right? The media's gonna do that. They're gonna create some sort of narrative of like racist comedian, racist comments at a racist rally. This is who you're voting for, like, which is just crazy to think, because it's the equivalent of saying Cardi B performed at a Democrat rally and her songs talk about booty shaking, pussy popping, getting wet, and somehow that's a referendum on their politics. Like, that's just crazy to think. A performer is there to perform, whether it's a comedian or an artist, like a singer or a rapper, it could be a painter. Again, it's whatever they do necessarily, even though, like, yeah, they're obviously, if they're there, I would assume their politics are in line with that party. It doesn't mean that their art specifically is a referendum on the politics of the party they're there to support. So let's just that I want to make that clear too. And again, I hope I did a decent job of like breaking down just the nuance of how he's joking and putting these jokes together on just like it, again, showing that he's a well-informed person. He's well aware of the situation. He's well aware, like, what's going on, and he's just finding ways to cleverly make them into jokes, bring levity to situations that are heavy, and at the same time, in the sense of making fun of that which can be exaggerated, things that are just exaggeratedly crazy, or things that are clearly, yeah, we all know, we all can be skeptical about, and that's what comedians do. You know what I'm saying? And so again, it's just like chill for anybody who felt like this guy was off the deep end. And again, if that's just not your style of jokes, if you don't like it, if it wasn't palatable for you, don't make it seem like that's just the truth overall for everybody, because it's not. I thought it was funny. But then again, maybe it's because I know that. Maybe it's because I knew the comedian. But I don't want to make excuses either. I feel like the first thing is like, he's a comedian, so he's gonna joke about whatever he wants to joke about, and that's fine. That's on him. He's the performer. Let him do what he's gonna do. Let him cook. Then second, it's like, yeah, If you don't know him, get to know him. I know him. I know his style. I know that's what he does. And then thirdly, inform yourself on what he's joking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, he wasn't talking about Puerto Ricans. He was bringing light. It was a joke on a situation that is happening right now in Puerto Rico that should be addressed. And we could only hope because he brought it to light, does get addressed. Sometimes it takes something of this level of magnitude, somebody on that scale of things to bring something to the light. So whether you liked it or not, at the very end, I just hope it brings up something good out of that actual situation, that actual problem that's happening in Puerto Rico. And I hope that within the body politics within the island itself to our own government, I hope it's like, yo, we're not even just it's not even like we're allies. No, we're part of your territory. We fight along the wars you fight in, that you want us fighting in. We sign up to your military, we fight your wars, goods that come out of, even though again, this statistics researching, I wasn't trying to do all that, but like whatever the give and take is between trading resources between the United States and Puerto Rico, whatever it may be, let's be nice to find that out maybe for another time. But again, it's like, all I have to say is, like, if we really are your territory, like, act like it. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, like, and that's this is what makes that joke good. It's that he is still at a Republican rally. So like that problem is a problem for whoever gets elected. And the reality is between this last party, and which relatively this situation has happened majority under this administration, but the reality is even into the Trump administration prior, this has been an issue. So this is an issue for either party to address that none have. So again, it's like, shout out to the man for being bold enough to like still just say what he has to say, regardless of like where he's at. Like, I don't have to walk on eggshells here. I'm going to say what I got to say. And I think that should be the takeaway. That should be the takeaway. And again, shout out to the guy. Shout out to Tony Hincliffe. Shout out to Kill Tony, what he's doing. Like that. I mean, who am I? I'm just trying to inform you guys on who he is somewhat. Like, go look him up, and again, just trying to bring clarity to a situation that I feel has definitely been misrepresented heavily. And again, I know some of you doing it purposely because, again, awkwardly, you guys have these weird loyalties to whoever your party is, and that is what it is. So I know you're going to do it purposefully. You feel that you have to lie about situation. You feel you have to exaggerate certain situations to justify, I guess, how you feel about it, or how you feel about what you're going to do, how you're going to vote. That's on you. You got to go to sleep with that. For me, I'm not changing who I am. I'm not going to change my truth. I'm not going to change the truth. What it is, the situation is what it is. I'm going to always talk about it how it is, regardless who it is, regardless of party, regardless of preference, whatever the case may be. I'm just going to call it as I see it, and that's that. And there's no need to exaggerate anything for me. You'll never see me over exaggerate anything. I'm always going to be fair about whatever I'm talking about, and that's that. So like, even with this, it's not like I'm not coming out here to. Matter of fact, this guy doesn't even need defending. The reality is like, I just feel like maybe some people just don't know, and I'm just here to share what I do know, But again, it's not even that the guy needs defending. He's not going to watch this. He doesn't know who I am. This is not what this is about. I just feel like I want to just make sure that my people, my friends, whoever's following me, that y'all like are just aware of the situation in case you are, in case you fell for the bait, in case you fell for the narrative, and, and your pride built up within you and you felt some type of way. Like, don't worry about it. Chill out. Like, this wasn't ill-intentional. This wasn't in bad taste. And in fact, more good can come out of this because he brought it to the light through his joke. And we can only hope that that's what happens. So that being said, again, I don't want to be here any longer than I have to. Shout out to anybody who hopped on. Edwin, Manny, appreciate you guys hopping on in the comment section, at least where I could see it. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody else's comments. Elsewhere in other platforms, I probably did, because, oh man, I totally messed up. I didn't go on Instagram. That's on me. That is on me. Well, no, that's that. We'll end that there. My bad, Angie. Yeah, didn't join us for this one. Oh, that's on me. Anyways, either way, hope whoever's celebrating Halloween, y'all have fun with your kids. If you have kids, if not, hope you guys are at least good sports and have candy ready for these kids that are out here, or something for them to go away with. Whether maybe you're a believer in the faith, and maybe this is how much practice, and completely understandable. And I'm all for that as well. I support you guys in that endeavor, but I hope you have something to give these kids. It's about the kids, most importantly. I think for us, at least, obviously there's the other, stuff that goes around this day, and obviously be prayerful, be mindful of these things, and always diligent, not diligent, yeah, diligent, vigilant. There you go, vigilant, yeah, on these matters. So, but with that being said, much love. God bless, guys. Be smooth, be cool, take it easy. Let's not make it any crazier out there than what it already is. There's enough problems in this world. Let's not add any more. Let's address these things that do need addressing, and we're gonna be all right. All right. So that being said, we are out of here. Peace out. Much love. God bless, guys.
Martial arts, karate, I bust you down like Itachi, cause you legit me Hachi. Trick kamikaze, I'm talking the bodies as I go strip brawly. Y'all niggas could hardly be me, I'm not part of the sea. I'm part of the sea like Moses. No psychosis or hocus pocus. I put in potent to stay focused. Ignore all the BS on my timeline. I throw a lifeline for those thinking I ain't about mine. Hit you upside your head with a tie iron. Can't be your time if it's my time. The set to be patient, I'm patiently waiting. It's driving me crazy, cause lately the odds that I'm facing is basic and basically tragically hating. Anticipating my fall, they want it all for themselves. So I make the call, no need to stall. I go and get them all off of the shelf. I take affirmative action, I'm blasting and laughing of how you reacting to my satisfaction of cashing injections and Benjis and Wilsons, the life that you always imagined. From the goal, yeah. If you ever see him go, it's Holocaust, the Holy Ghost, overcome or overflow. Yeah. Either way, it's overdose. Watch you walk or comatose, penetrating to your